So in this case, we are going to be creating a little keychain on Adobe Illustrator to be used on the laser engraver. So we're going to create a new file. And because this is a small one, we're going to name it keychain. We are going to go to the color mode and make sure that it's not on CMYK. We're going to be using RGB. And we are going to be using a 3x2. Remember, this is going to be very small because this is for a keychain. We are going to create it, and you are going to have this space right here. I'm gonna close that. And in my case, I'm gonna make this one I'm not gonna be using like anything too fancy. I'm gonna try to make it as simple as possible. I'm gonna create this one with text, and I'm just gonna click right here, and I'm going to create a technology one. Technology. And this time, just because I'm trying to show a way to make it, it's not so much about how to use Illustrator. I'm just gonna keep the regular letters that are like defaults. So I'm gonna put the letter right here. Remember, this one is gonna be 3 inches by 2 inches right here. So I'm just gonna try to cover as much as possible, because even though it seems big right here on my screen, it's gonna be a very small piece, right? So from here, I'm also going to add a little image. I already have an image that I downloaded from the internet. I am going to add it right here. I can just click and drag. Now, I want you to notice that this thing is pixelated. We're gonna try to change that because we're trying to not have pixels in our keychain, right? So I'm just gonna grab it from the corner. I'm gonna make it the size that I need. You can use whatever image that you want, but in my case, I'm gonna be using this one. So this one is from Shutterstock, and I am going to click on image trace. Now I'm gonna leave it like that, even though I could change it. This video is not to learn how to do that. I'm just going to expand it, and using the white arrow, I am going to select the white space. I'm going to delete it, and I'm going to select these things on the bottom, and I'm going to delete it. So you have this part right here, technology. So this is just going to be the background that I am going to keep, right? And I want you to go right here to the layers. You can click on this where it says layers. I am going to block. I'm going to lock this thing with a little lock, and I'm going to keep it visible, one layer, and I am going to create another one. I am going to create a new layer that I'm going to be using for my cutting part. Now the first one, layer 1, is going to be for our image. Layer 2 is going to be for the cutting parts. Now I want you to pay attention. This is the part that I want you to know. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna, from now on, we're gonna do laser. Whenever you want to engrave something, it's going to be on black, like in white. Whenever you want something, we're gonna try to have it on red. So I'm gonna grab this one right here, and the inside is going to be invisible, but the outside is going to be red. You're gonna have something like that. And in here, I have the rectangle, but I don't want a specific rectangle. I want a rounded rectangle too. So if I click and hold it, I have these options right here. I'm gonna do a rounded rectangle, because it's this shape that I have in here. I'm gonna do this part right here. But now this is gonna be a different part, right? So I'm gonna go right here. I'm gonna use the ellipse tool. And I'm gonna try to use it maybe like this. So right now what I'm trying to do is I'm going to try to cover all of this, all of my drawings, right? All of my engraving parts. And I'm going to try to make the shape of the actual keychain. In my case, I want to, you can create different shapes. I'm going to do something like this. Trying to make something simple. At the same time, look at this. I'm going to use everything red to cut. But I cannot cut these parts because it will just create a little hole right here and another one, another line right here. And this will be too much. What I'm going to do is I am going to select everything. I'm going to use the black arrow for right now. And I'm going to select everything in here. And I'm going to be using the shape builder tool. So I'm going to click on the shape builder tool. And I am going to select all of this like this. And that made my outline without the stuff inside. That created a new shape. I hope that you saw that part. Also, using this one, I'm going to create a little hole right here in the middle. So I can use to put a little keychain ring on it. Now, so far, by the way, you can do Control A to select everything, right? Control A selects everything. What I'm going to do is, I don't know if you remember, using the stroke, you can actually create the outline. You can actually make it super thick. But on this case, what we try to do is we actually try to make super thin. And I want you to pay attention to this part because we're going to make it a 0.01. What that's going to do is going to create a very thin outline. You can barely see it probably on your screen, but it's right here if I highlight it. Do you see it? What this is going to do is it's going to create a very fine line that we are going to be using to cut. We are going to have to change some of the settings in our laser. But for right now, this is how we are going to create the file. So now we're going to have two different layers. We're going to have the layer 1 that engraves, and we're going to have the layer 2 that cuts. This is the file that we're going to be using in our laser engraver. And this is going to be able to help us cut and engrave. In our case, we're actually going to do 2 passes in our machine. So what we're going to do is we're going to select everything right here. And we're going to do a Control C to copy. And then this is, most of the time I tell you to do Control V as in Victor to paste. But we are not going to do that. This time we're going to do a Control F. And what it's going to do is going to paste a second layer right on top of the red one. So it's going to look like nothing happens. But you just pasted using Control F the same outline twice. So now you have 2 paths right here. And our machine is going to know that we wanted to pass 2 times to be able to cut through our material. Sounds good? When you're done, just save it and upload it. Take a picture and save the file in your computer.